girlfriend visited her friend in another state, then I saw her pregnancy test in her Target order, and discovered they were sleeping together and joking about how stupid and naive I am. So my girlfriend and I have been together for just under a year. We don't live together and both work full-time, and we are exclusive, as far as I'm aware. Things were going pretty great between us until recently. We have our issues like any other couple, but nothing major that would cause either of us to do something drastic. She's always been pretty affectionate and seemed really into me. We'd text throughout the day and see each other a few times a week, usually spending at least one weekend day together. About 3 months ago, I started noticing my girlfriend spending a lot of time on the phone with her friend Jessie. She always says that Jessie is just a good friend and that's it. However, she often spends any time she can on the phone with him, even when her and I are out together. Like we'll be at dinner and she'll excuse herself to take his call, or sometimes she'll be texting him while we're watching a movie. I've tried to not think too much about it because I don't want to be that controlling boyfriend who dictates who she can talk to. One time we were at this Italian place I had been wanting to try for months. I finally got reservations, and halfway through our appetizers, her phone rings and she immediately gets up to take the call. She was gone for like 15 minutes and our entrees came while she was still outside talking to this guy. When she finally came back, she acted like it was totally normal to abandon me at dinner to talk to another dude. She said it was important but wouldn't say what it was about. Their conversations don't really lead me to think anything suspicious is going on from what I can hear. It's usually just normal friend stuff, talking about their days, some inside jokes I don't get, and occasionally about his kids. Oh yeah, Jesse has 2 young boys that he's raising on his own after his ex left or something. I never got the full story. My girlfriend would sometimes mention how hard it must be for him to raise 2 kids alone, and how she admired him for stepping up. She'd get this weird look in her eyes when she talked about him, but I tried not to read into it too much. She told me they met through some mutual friends a few years ago and kept in touch online. According to her, they'd never been anything more than friends. I asked once if they had ever hooked up and she got all defensive, saying not everyone wants to sleep with their friends and making me feel like I was being ridiculous for even asking. But then about a month and a half ago, my girlfriend tells me she's going to visit Jesse, who lives 2 states over. Just drops it on me like it's nothing. She says they've been friends for years and she wants to see him and meet his kids in person. I can't go because I have to work that week, and honestly, I wasn't even invited. She just said, "I'm going to visit Jesse next month," and when I asked if I could come along, she said it wasn't a good time because of my work schedule. Of course I tell her that I'm not comfortable with her visiting a male friend out of state by herself. I mean, any reasonable person would feel the same way, right? But she keeps insisting that Jesse is just a friend and there's nothing for me to worry about. She says she'll be staying at his place, but Jesse is a single father of 2 young boys, so my girlfriend assures me nothing will happen. She even made a comment like, "What do you think is going to happen with 2 little kids running around?" We had a pretty big argument about it actually. I told her how it looked from my perspective, my girlfriend suddenly wanting to go stay with some single guy I've never met who lives in another state. She accused me of not trusting her and said that if I was going to be this insecure, maybe we should rethink our relationship. That shut me up pretty quick because despite everything, I really do care about her and don't want to lose her. Despite me voicing my opinion and concerns multiple times, my GF takes the trip anyway. She did agree to share her location with me to put my mind at ease, which I appreciated, but still felt weird about the whole thing. The whole week she was gone, I was on edge. She'd text me occasionally with updates or pictures of them at the park or zoo with his kids, but the messages felt, I don't know, forced? Like she was trying too hard to show me that everything was innocent. I checked her location a few times, okay, maybe more than a few, and she was always at what I assumed was his house or at some family-friendly place nearby. So I had no real reason to suspect anything, but I still had this nagging feeling in my gut. She was gone for about a week and then came back like nothing happened. She showed me some pictures of her and Jesse and his kids at some park and talked about how cute his kids were and stuff. Then we just kind of moved on with life. I tried to put it out of my mind because I didn't want to be that guy who can't trust his girlfriend. One thing that bothered me though, when I asked to see a picture of Jesse by himself, I was curious what this guy looked like. She scrolled through her photos for a minute and then said she didn't have any good ones of just him. All the photos conveniently had the kids in them too. I thought that was weird but didn't push it. But then something happened that sent me spiraling. About 2 weeks ago, my girlfriend asked me to go to our local Target to pick up an online order she had placed. She tells me she ordered shampoo and a few hygiene items, deodorant, lotion, etc., since she was running low. I was going to be near that Target anyway for a haircut, so I agreed and said I'd pick it up on my way home. When I get to the customer service counter and give them her name, they bring out a bag with a pregnancy test in it. I'm standing there completely shocked and confused. I tell them that this wasn't what she told me she ordered. I check the name and phone number attached to the bag and find it matches my girlfriend's number, so it couldn't have been another girl with the same name. The guy at the counter checks the system again and brings out a second bag with the shampoo and stuff she had actually told me about. So let me clarify this part since it's important. There were 2 separate orders under her name. One with the shampoo and hygiene items that she told me about, and another with just a pregnancy test that she never mentioned to me. The orders had been placed like 12 hours apart according to the receipts. I take both bags and leave without asking the Target employee more questions because I'm too flustered and don't want to make a scene. I sat in my car for like 10 minutes just staring at this pregnancy test, trying to make sense of it all. Why would she hide this from me? Why send me to pick up her order knowing there was another order waiting there? Did she forget? Was she hoping to pick it up herself later? Here's the thing that really got me concerned. There was pretty much no way that I could have potentially impregnated her. We always use protection. Always. I'm extremely careful about the kind of thing because neither of us is in a position to have kids right now. We've talked about having a family someday, but definitely not anytime soon. And we both agreed early on that an accidental pregnancy would be a disaster for both our careers. When I got home, I gave her the bag with the shampoo and stuff and didn't mention the pregnancy test at first. I wanted to see if she would bring it up. She didn't. We just hung out normally for a few hours, watched some TV, and then later that night I finally asked her why there was a pregnancy test at Target in her name. She looked totally surprised. At first she says she has no idea and she did not order a pregnancy test. I asked her to show me her Target app to prove it and she gets a bit defensive, saying that it was probably her sister since her sister sometimes uses her Target account to order things. She claims that women sometimes use pregnancy tests to regulate their PMS or for other things other than to determine if they're pregnant. I don't know shit about how pregnancy tests work, but this sounded like bullshit to me. Why would her sister order a pregnancy test to my girlfriend's local Target instead of the one by her own house? Her sister lives like 20 minutes away and has her own Target much closer to her. And why wouldn't her sister just go buy one in person instead of ordering it online for pickup? Also, her sister is married with a 3-year-old and has told us multiple times they're done having kids. It just didn't add up. When I pressed her on it, she got irritated and said I was being paranoid and accusatory. She said maybe it was a mistake or maybe Target mixed up the orders. But I saw both receipts with her name and number on them, so that didn't make sense either. But I didn't have any real proof that she was lying, so I just let it go for the moment. She assured me that she's not pregnant and that the test wasn't a sign of her cheating when she was on her trip to see Jesse. For a few days after that, things were tense between us. She seemed distant and was on her phone even more than usual. I noticed she started taking her phone with her to the bathroom, which she never used to do. And when I'd come into the room, she'd quickly switch apps or put her phone away. Classic sketchy behavior, right? The other night we went out to dinner and she made it a point to prove that she isn't pregnant by ordering a few cocktails. Like she specifically said, "See? I wouldn't be drinking alcohol if I was pregnant," and then proceeded to order multiple drinks. It felt forced, like she was performing for me rather than just enjoying our date night. I never saw what happened to the pregnancy test after that day. I don't know if she took it or threw it away or what. It just disappeared. I looked for it in her bathroom trash, but didn't find anything. Maybe she disposed of it somewhere else, or maybe she never took it at all. I can't stop thinking about this. The timing is just too suspicious. She visits this guy Jesse who she talks to constantly, then 2 weeks later there's a pregnancy test she tried to hide from me? And now that I think about it, she's been acting a bit different since she got back from her trip. She's not as affectionate as she used to be. We used to have sex pretty regularly, like 2 to 3 times a week, but since she got back from her trip, it's been maybe once a week and it feels like she's just going through the motions. She spends more time on her phone, and she's been going out with her girlfriends more often lately. Though I have no way to verify if she's actually meeting her friends or not. One night she said she was going out with her friend Ashley for drinks. I was bored and decided to drive by the bar they usually go to. I know, kinda stalkerish, but I was feeling really insecure. Her car wasn't in the parking lot. When she got home later and I casually asked how Ashley was doing, she launched into this whole story about how Ashley was having issues with her boyfriend. Too much detail, you know? Like she was trying to convince me they had really been together. Then nothing really happened for a few days. We just went about our normal routines, but things felt tense between us. She'd get annoyed at little things I did that never bothered her before. I'd catch her staring off into space with a worried look on her face. When I'd ask what was wrong, she'd just say nothing or I'm just tired. I thought about just asking her straight up if something happened with Jesse, but I was afraid of the answer. Am I wrong for accusing my girlfriend for cheating on me while she was away? Update 1. so I realized that although my GF and I have protected sex, the chances of me getting her pregnant is technically possible. However, I strongly believe that despite our intimacy, I couldn't have possibly impregnated my GF. Not to be disgusting and personal, but I never finish inside of her because I want to reduce our chances of having kids until we're both ready. That's why when I saw the pregnancy test, I immediately thought she cheated on me. Some of you commented that I should just talk to her about it again, but many more said I should just check her phone or something to see if there's any evidence. I wasn't sure about doing that because it felt wrong to invade her privacy, but I was going crazy thinking about this whole situation. To the person who said I should just trust her and not jump to conclusions, I tried that for weeks and it got me nowhere. And to those saying I should have confronted Jesse directly, I don't even have his contact info and I'm not sure that would have accomplished anything except maybe getting him to coordinate stories with my GF. So last night after reading all your comments, I went into a panic and freaked out. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, just kept thinking about everything over and over. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I drove over to her apartment while she was at work. She gave me a key a few months ago when I was feeding her cat while she was on a business trip, and I found her iPad sitting on the coffee table. I know a lot of you are going to judge me for this, but I was desperate. I tried using her birthday as the password and to my amazement it worked. She's always been kind of careless with her passwords, using the same one for everything. I know what I did was wrong, but I had to know if she was cheating on me. I immediately went through her messages and found a whole thread with Jesse that she never told me about. There were messages that made it very clear they had sex multiple times while she was visiting him. Some of the messages were very explicit and I won't repeat them here, but trust me, there was no mistaking what happened between them. He sent messages like I can't stop thinking about that night and the kids are asleep, wish you were here in bed with me right now. She sent stuff back that made me physically ill to read. It was obvious this wasn't the first time they'd been involved either. There were references to them hooking up years ago, before she met me. There were also messages about the pregnancy scare. She texted him a few days after getting back from her trip saying she was late and freaking out. He told her to take a test and let him know. Then a couple days later she messaged saying false alarm, not pregnant, just stress. He responded with a relieved emoji and said, thank God, not ready for kid number 3 yet lol. I'm honestly so devastated by this and I've been such a nervous wreck since last night. I haven't eaten and I've barely slept. The worst part is seeing all these messages where they were laughing about me. She told him I was suspicious but too trusting to figure anything out. They literally joked about how I believed her story about nothing happening with his kids around. Apparently the kids were at their grandparents' house for 2 of the nights she was there. I feel like such an idiot. All those times she was on the phone with him and I was in the same room, completely clueless. Now I'm waiting to confront her but I honestly don't know how. I'm afraid she'll just turn it around on me and make me the bad guy for invading her privacy. Honestly at this point I don't even care. I just want to get this over with and move on with my life. Some of you said I should gather more evidence before confronting her, but I think what I saw is more than enough. Others suggested I should just ghost her completely, but that feels too childish for a relationship that's lasted almost a year. I want to at least look her in the eye when I end things. She was my first real GF in a long time and now I feel like an afterthought. I put so much into this relationship. I rearranged my life to make time for her. I introduced her to my family. I was even thinking about asking her to move in together when our leases were up in a few months. And the whole time she was cheating on me with this guy. Edit, for those asking if she specifically mentioned using protection with Jesse, from what I could tell from their messages, they didn't. There was some joke from him about pulling out game strong which made me want to vomit. So yeah, they were being completely reckless too, which just adds another layer to this whole mess. Update 2. So last night, I finally worked up the courage to tell my GF that I needed to talk to her. At first she kept saying she was busy and tried to reschedule for the weekend, but I insisted on seeing her in person so she finally said to go to her place around 8 p.m. I wanted to be calm and collected, not let my emotions get the better of me. I even wrote down some key points I wanted to make so I wouldn't get sidetracked if she tried to change the subject or turn things around on me. I go over to her place and she's acting all normal, like nothing's wrong. Offers me a drink, asks about my day, the usual stuff. I declined the drink because I wanted to keep a clear head. I sit down on her couch and she tries to cuddle up next to me like everything's fine. I moved away slightly and told her we needed to talk about something serious. I reiterated however since she got back from her trip, things have felt weird between us. She claims I'm the one who's making things weird by believing that she cheated on me. She continues to claim that the pregnancy test was not hers and that her friend Jesse was just a friend and they just hung out, watched movies with his kids, and went to some local attractions. She starts getting all defensive again, saying I'm being insecure and that if I can't trust her, Then maybe we have bigger problems. She even had the nerve to say that my constant accusations were pushing her away and making her reconsider our relationship. I let her go on for a bit, denying everything, and then I finally said, "I know you cheated because I saw the messages between you and Jesse." Her face just dropped. For a split second, there was this look of pure panic in her eyes. Then she got pissed. "You came here without me knowing and went through my personal messages? That's so messed up and creepy, to be honest," she says. We got into a slight argument as I told her that my suspicions were correct and she was trying to deflect the conversation. I asked her to give me her phone and I'll show her all the messages I saw, which were very clear and explicit. I know I could have just shown her screenshots I took of the iPad, but honestly I wanted to see if she'd deleted them or how she'd react. Of course she refuses and says we are not married. We don't live together. You don't own or control me. When I tried to get her to address the actual issue, that she cheated on me, she just kept focusing on how I violated her privacy. She refused to admit anything even when I mentioned specific messages I had read. At one point she even tried to claim that I must have misunderstood the messages or taken them out of context. She said Jesse is just someone she's very comfortable with and they have an open communication style that might seem inappropriate to outsiders. Can you believe that? She really thought I'd buy that explanation after seeing messages explicitly describing them having sex? While I agreed with her that going through her iPad was wrong, I decide to end things quickly and simply put her copy of her keys on her coffee table and tell her you cheated. Plain and simple. Goodbye and good luck. I walk out and she makes no attempt to stop me. Later that night, she tries to text me and says that she's sorry for what she did. At first, she claimed that Jesse was an old boyfriend that she never told me about and that they dated years ago before she met me and that he moved away several years ago. She claims that the messages I saw were old conversations they had, but I quickly told her that was obviously not true. I could see the dates on the messages. Then she switched tactics and swears that she didn't mean to cheat and that Jesse must have gotten her drunk and it led to sex. She assures me that she is not pregnant with anyone's baby. I don't even know what to believe anymore. I told her that's good cause I don't want anything else tying me to you. I wished her good luck again and I haven't heard from her since. She tried calling me a few times this morning but I ignored her calls. She also sent a long text about how sorry she is and how it was a mistake and she wishes she could take it back. Classic stuff you say when you're only sorry you got caught. Personally, I'm relieved but I'm so upset and devastated by all this. I spoke with my friend Eric who told me that he had an ex that cheated on him too, but she later tried to contact him years later when the dude she cheated on him with turned out to be a bum. He warned me that she might try to come back once she realizes what she's lost. I told him I'd never take her back, not after this, but he said people do stupid things when they're lonely or their ego is bruised. Thank you all for your input and support. It really means a lot to have people to talk to about this who understand what I'm going through.